Yeah, let's
Wow,
transition over to
Gyeonggi,
IEM.
yeah.
Let's transition over to IEM, and the big story here was, really how the two teams involved in the trade would do, like Rogue and Fnatic, both being in the same tournament, both being in separate brackets too. This is only a 6-team event, so there wasn't really a ton of teams here, but still got to see both of them playing against the Korean teams. Lunatic High, let's see, Misfits played Lunatic High, right? And then Rogue played
Yeah.
LW Red. And I mean, what you want to talk about, Jason? I mean, I ended up watching the
Yeah,
VODs
so
yesterday, but
it was a tournament that had every team with a roster change or a role swap within it. So it was a big testing ground for all these teams. You look at LW Red. I still don't agree for them being called LW Red. It should have been LW Blue because there's 5 members from LW Blue and
what?
Nanohana
Really?
from
Oh my
LW Red.
god. Okay.
Yeah, like
Didn't
Pine
realize
wasn't
that.
even playing. Awesome guy Richie wasn't even supposed to be there. But yeah, so let's start with Misfits Lunatic High. It says 0-3 is the score. Not really how the game went. We went to tie on the first 2 maps, which took us over to Nepal. So we had Hollywood first, where both teams finished, and they couldn't capture on the second try. Then we had Lunatic High winning on Nepal there. It's a best of 1, not a best of 3 in the decider map, because we were going by the OGN rule set. Then we went to Volskaya, where both teams only captured the first point. Then we went to Nepal again, and Lunatic High won Nepal. And then, of course,
They just
with the
couldn't beat them on
map,
Nepal.
Can I
They
chime in
just
with a
couldn't win on
story?
Nepal. That's like the summary of
they
it.
couldn't win on King of the Hill because they
Yeah,
went to
it's
Lijiang
just-
Tower next and lost to
Exactly.
Will. So
wait,
It
I
was
wanna
0 to
tell a story
100 like
now.
every time. Yeah, go ahead.
This
Go
is
ahead.
relevant. So after that happens, right, the next day I meet Scott Mercer, and like if people don't know who Scott Mercer is, he's like one of
Design.
the devs, like the designers,
he made
like
Molten
high
Core.
up on the what?
He made Molten Core with Jeff Kaplan in like a week.
Yeah, so he's like a big deal over there, and like so the night I'm talking to him about IEM because I didn't really watch it. He's like, oh yeah, I was up watching it, blah blah blah, and then he says, I don't really agree with I don't really like the fact that we go to tiebreaker on a separate map for matches and stuff. And I was like, it could be worse. Like it could just be coin flip. And I like laugh, right? And he laughs. And then later that night we go to dinner with him, and he tells us that he was the one who designed or like came up with coin flip. And I just suddenly like I'm at like a Blizzard dinner with him.
Embarrassed.
Like, I like face palm so
your
hard,
foot in your
man.
mouth
Like you have
right
no idea. It was like I mean, he obviously enjoyed the joke the first time, but I didn't realize the fact that I was like actually knocking it at him. And yeah, I just wanted to get that out there because I was like dying. I was like, oh my, what did I just say?
Scott's cool.
Well,
though.
to be honest, the whole there's a big argument with like for instance, it's Counter-Strike. You go 15-50, you tie the map. What do? You play out more rounds on the map. You play out,
Yeah,
MR6 or
sure.
MR3 or whatever, MR6. But in Overwatch, it's like, all right, so you go to another map, which is a different game mode, most likely, 2/3 chance that is a different game mode. And then you play like 3 rounds, or in this case, 1 round.
One round,
So
which is even worse.
which I honestly I did not like. I did not like that control was best of 3 instead of 5, and then tiebreaker was best of 1 instead of best of 3, because of how snowbally a control point map can be. Doesn't give you really much time to adapt.
Also, yeah, I like the way that we did it at MLG, which was you just tie and then if it's tied at the end, you just go to a last mat King of the Hill. But even that was best of 3, which I mean that's still more fair.
It's still awkward.
It's still weird though, because it still favors the team that's better at King of the Hill. Like they will always have an advantage in some way, if you think about it.
I mean, it's awkward because you basically nullified the first map. So, because we had this problem at Atlantic Showdown where ties counted as 1 point for each team. It's like, all right, you play 1 map and it's 0-0. And then you're like, all right, we're into the second map, but the score says 0-0. But keep in mind, guys, we're still on the second map. The first map was played. I don't like the whole delay in the tiebreaker to be the end. I actually want to have like an opening and a close to a story of a map.
But it should stay on the map itself, because the maps are different game modes. And they have their own,
I mean, it's
game
like
type.
you don't want to like replay shitty.
Yeah, I mean, replaying it isn't the best alternative either, but I feel like
yeah, so I mean, you need like an elegant way to make the fact that FaZe beat Fnatic. What was it, 3-2 across 6 maps? Like that sounds weird, right? But I don't know how you fix that again, like because of the way the maps work. Like I think they're trying to find a more elegant way to make ties not happen.
I mean, there could be just an abbreviated version of, whether it's a payload map or a hybrid map, whatever. Just do some kind of abbreviated version of the first point or objective. You could still do that without playing the entire map every single time. I mean, there's obviously going to be some cases, yeah, where it plays out pretty long, but giving them a minute, giving them 2 minutes each, or something like that, and just having them play.
That's the problem though, is that with Overwatch, like I don't know if you look at CS and like when you have an overtime, which is like MR3 or MR5, so you play ideally 6 or 10 extra rounds, you could lose one round because of a slight mistake, but still come back and win. But I feel like in Overwatch, if you make a slight mistake when you have 2 minutes instead of the normal 4 attacking on like a hybrid map, then you lose the map off of that.
Yeah,
you
don't
lose a round, you lose the map.
Like I don't like the tiebreaker shit in Overwatch. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. Like when it goes to King's Row, there was like a fight or something. There was like a match. I forget which teams it was. It was like King's Row. One team had a minute 30. One team had a minute. And you mess up your first push, you lose if you're the team with a minute. And then you're like, if you have that minute 30, that's actually like one more push the enemy team didn't have. And like that one more push is actually enough to get ults just because of the way the game timing works. Like it's not even really an overtime because it doesn't seem fair. Because it goes back, I mean, it's pretty much stopwatch at that point. But then, like, you start wondering, like, the stall comps start happening, and I think that they're trying to get away from that too. Like, they don't like the fact that you can just like cycle spawn tracers and maze and shit out of spawn. Like, that's on their agenda to fix. But again, like you're right. Like, there's just so many weird problems like that that make the tiebreaker situation just seem really awkward.
I don't mind. I actually don't mind the spawns right now. I feel like the overtime just. The timer increasing, you know, as it goes longer and longer has been pretty effective. I mean, we always have some epic moments. They used to last forever, right? Just like literally coming back, and that was like really annoying. But you know,
it's not just overtime. It's like there was a match between FaZe. I don't know if it was FaZe. Who was it? It was Fnatic and somebody, and they steamrolled the shit out of Gibraltar, like smashed them to the last point. And like, I think there was like 5 or 4 minutes left when they get to the last point, and then suddenly like cycle spawns come out, and they like burn 3 minutes just trying to kill these people, and they wind up losing. And like that just seems like, or it just feels so bad to watch because like it doesn't feel competitive in that sense because you're literally just like throwing bodies at the cart, eventually getting ults, and then you'll win because you get ults.
Yeah,
but like they're from like a competitive standpoint or from like a team-based standpoint, it just like doesn't feel good.
Yeah. So, well, anyways, it's just something that's been going on. I mean, it's been this way for a long time now. So we still haven't figured it out. It just seemed a little bit worse at IEM, particularly in that Lunatic High Misfits match, because they literally lost the same map over and over, and they would lose like convincingly. It was like 0 to 100. I'm like 4 out of 5 times or something like that.
I mean,
on the ball, it was just bad.
At the same time, you can argue like. The better team should be the team that's better overall, not better on one mode, and then they got lucky with the maps, right? Like if you're Lunatic High, or say you're Lunatic High, and you're like only good on control, and then you get 2 control maps in your best of 3, it's like, all right, you won the series. You shouldn't have the better team win off of the mode. Like Misfits didn't practice control often, so it's technically their fault. But at the same time, it just feels kind of lame.
The better team did win. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, they definitely did win. And if they're tying on the other modes, then yeah, the team that's better on the third mode or
overall
should be the team that advances anyways. It just looks so bad. It was just like, okay, they're 2-2, it's like epic, and it's epic, and then it's all of a sudden, oh, they just held the point like 100%. like to 0. And that felt a little bad. How about the other series? How was LW Red and Rogue?
Well, before we get to, I want to do LW Red versus Kong 2 Panthera. Kong 2 Panthera.
Sure.
Because Bishop wasn't there. He was having some family issues, and he's like the caller for the team. Radio had to step in, and they just looked okay. Flame's leaving. Thanks, Flame. I got just scared away with my talking about my IM. No, it was just kind of lame that they didn't get to play at full power because they had a different roster because of that. So yeah, LW had run that one. We got to see Sabi Olby play out of his skin. Like this man on Tracer is. You talk about Soon playing Tracer. He's basically a Korean Soon. He was insanely good at Tracer. They had Rogue versus LW Red, and Rogue were able to take a map off them, which was good to see. They're able to win Lijiang Tower. So they won the control. They won the more skirmishy battles, which I kind of expected out of them just because of like what they've been playing with their heroes. But they also threw out some really weird comps. So going into the tournament, they were saying that they're really bad at playing the standard tank kind of meta. So what they did was they played a style that they thought they could win with, and that they only practiced for a couple days, which was, let's see, wins on Zarya, and then they also had him playing Tracer and also Soldier. So
Wow.
they switched like their main Zarya player, who doesn't play D.Va that often, over to like a DPS kind of role, and they ran triple DPS over and over again. Didn't really work out on points that weren't control, because you kind of need like the solid lineup for that one. So they ended up losing that one. LW Red won 3-1. Lunatic High versus AF Blue. That started off with the most disappointing series I've ever seen, where AF Blue on Gibraltar. Like this is how simple it is, and Flame's just gonna facepalm. So if you're attacking Gibraltar, Flame, and they have a soldier on high ground, and you don't have a D.Va, what is the attacking team doing wrong besides not having a D.Va? They had no one who physically could get up there and take him away from that position.
Just having a field
day up there. Eska just stomped him.
It was aim practice.
Yeah,
it was seriously aim practice.
It's actually crazy. I mean, I always have this conversation with people about like just how, I don't want to say bad, but like how undisciplined teams are sometimes. Like that same thing happened in MLG. It was C9 versus NRG, and Surefour is literally sitting up there, and NRG's running Pharah for the entire 4 minutes, and you just get full health. Like, what in God's name did you think was going to happen? It was like
exactly.
It's. I mean, I don't know. What was it? Who was the second team? It was Lunatic High and
AF Blue.
Yeah, so AFB has like a long history of that map. You remember how they won or how they got into the finals of Apex? Did you watch that match? It was like them versus BK Stars.
Didn't have it.
Yeah. So like what happens in that match? It was even worse. It was they get full held, right? Or they full held BK Stars on the first point, and then they're pushing, and the card has to like get to the top of the ramp. And so what happens is like there's like a Mei, a Reinhardt, a Zarya, and like a D.Va or something on defense with like a 76. I don't remember, but maybe there wasn't a 76. But like their whole job is just to get on the cart. And AFB just runs this Hanzo, and this Hanzo literally does nothing. Like I could not stress to you, it took him like 4 minutes to hit like 3 arrows. It was insane. But what happens is they have this Hanzo that's just missing everything, and he climbs up onto the high ground, and suddenly like he falls, and the Mei, the payload, and the Reinhardt all go chase him, and the cart just backcaps while they're chasing this useless Hanzo.
And there's like one like support
it was like
player
the worst
or whoever it was just behind the payload, just hiding behind.
There's just like Genji crouch walking behind the payload, and that they like coined the term zoning Hanzo. Like they're just not good at Gibraltar. It's crazy.
Zoning Hanzo, that's awesome. At
least the series started off really one-sided, and I was like, all right, this is going to be a quick 3-0 for Lunatic High. But then went to Ilios, where AF Blue was able to win. They switched things up. They started playing a little bit more comfortable. Hanamura, which ended up going into, I believe it was a tie, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to see the results here. Actually, no, it was Lunatic High that won that one. Then went to Hollywood, where neither of them capped the first point, which was really odd. To like, imagine both teams not capping the first point. But they didn't use like the Symmetra Torbjorn combo that they did in MLG. So it was like super weird.
Yeah, that happened to Fnatic and Envy at MLG. Like Fnatic, Envy gets full held, and they're like, all right, Envy's pounding, and then Envy gets full held.
Yeah,
like, it's just the
we
map.
were watching that. And then but what's interesting though, what's interesting though is that we had AF Blue on defense play Symmetra. They put a teleporter down instead of a shield generator, though. In that situation, it was kind of like they lost 3 people and needed to bring them back right away, so they had to quickly choose between the 2 ultimates.
Oh, wow.
But on attack, what AF Blue did was they ran a Zen and a Reaper, and all they did was, because Lunatic High were holding high ground, and by the way, they're running single support, which is something we saw them do quite a few times over the whole tournament. Was get on the point, force them to come down right into a Reaper who's in close proximity of you, doesn't have to actually get to you anymore, and then had a Discord orb, and just like were able to punish them really heavily. They didn't cap the point in the end, but they kept trying this whole Reaper comp and trying to make it work, and it worked out on other maps, but just didn't work out that well there.
Did we see any 4 tanks at that? Were there any 4 tank games there?
Yeah,
there was. Right? I can't remember which series it was though. There was.
I think. Was it Lunatic High? Because Lunatic High had 3 tanks, DPS, 2 supports. No, sorry. They had 4 tanks, 1 DPS, and a support. Yeah. So Lunatic High was doing that. It worked out in the most part. I mean, they got to the finals, right? But when LW Red's like, all right, well, fuck your quad tanks, we're gonna run like a really aggressive Tracer, Genji, D.Va, Winston at you, and a Zenyatta to discord a target, and Sabiobi and Nanohana together were really focusing targets perfectly. you're not really gonna do much with that quad tank setup in that situation, especially when you hit
You
this
kill
point.
Ana, it's over.
It's like
right?
critical mass point. Yeah, you hit this critical mass point as that comp as well, where you get ultimates online, the pulse bomb, and the dragon blade,
Yeah.
even the nano boost in there, and you just can't stop it. Like, you're just not gonna prevent them from killing a couple people and eventually snowballing a map against you. So Lunatic Kai just didn't really adapt too often. But LW Red, like, I don't know if you guys saw the winning ceremony. Nana Hana, like when they
I didn't see
won,
it.
this dude was bawling his eyes out. His rest of his team was cheering, excited, and he like little tears coming down his face because he was so happy. And after
Cool.
having wrist problems, not being able to play for a whole month because his wrist was having really bad problems, and having the team, if they didn't win this tournament, it would have disbanded LW Red and LW, if I'm not mistaken, if they didn't win. To have that, like, all of a sudden, like, yes, we won the tournament. We finally were able to, you know, win a LAN. It was Nanahana's first physical LAN he was actually at. It meant a whole lot to them. It was really cool. A really good interview if you want to go back and see that. But his Soldier, like, he was flexing between, like, Soldier and Genji, but, like, I think there's even McCree in there, but it's not easy to flex between, like, projectile and hit scan and play it to level he was doing.
Oh, no, that's definitely. How much was the prize pool for that too? Like, was it 100K?
100K.
It was 100K. Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's. I mean, it's always great to see the when the players show emotion and how much it means. And when it means that much, when it means your team surviving or not, I mean, that sometimes that's what can push you to the next level too. You know, it's to play. I mean, LW Red overall, how do you think they measured up? Like,
that's the thing.
It's
like,
hard to tell,
it's
right?
not even
It's
LW
like,
Red because
yeah.
it was
LW
LW
Blue.
LW
My
Red.
bad. Yeah.
It was blue, exactly. I don't know. I think they performed really well. I like to see that they didn't play the stand. They showed they can play the standard style, but they didn't have to.
Yeah.
That's what we saw to like DreamHack with Misfits, and that's where I really like to value a team is to see the meta and not necessarily feel like you have to play it because you know you could play something else. What kind of sucks for them though is that then now you have LW Red played in Super Week to qualify for Apex Season 2. So like Awesome Guy and Biome and all of them are back together in Pine playing on that one. I don't know if they're going to qualify. Actually, I don't know if the results have even happened so far. And then Lunatic Kai, apparently 2 people are looking for 2 new people.
Yeah,
because of military
shake
service.
up there. Yeah, shake up there too.
So, well, the thing is, like, so we were told this by someone from OGN that after APAC and like during Apex, Lee Tasian, like the Roadhog player for the team now, he was under a lot of criticism, a lot of scrutiny from people and from the organization. And the organization wanted them to kick him off the team. Like, wanted the players to kick him off the team. But the team's like, no, we're not going to do that. We've been together for 4 years, playing multiple games. We don't want to kick him off. We want to give him a chance. I don't know if he's still going to be on the team the next few weeks now, actually.
I mean, me and
after,
Monty
like,
were even
results,
having a conversation over dinner about how they should cut him.
yeah, like he was not actually playing that well. I remember Route 66, he missed like 4 hooks in a row, then dropped off big Earls on defense and died immediately. Then LWR just kept pushing.
I mean, when they lost
I
to
can't
Rogue,
judge him
it was
because he's
like,
better than me, but
no, I mean, when he was playing against Rogue in Apex, he was the player that got that Tvik like dumpster. Like Tvik was playing that Pharah on Kings Row, and that was him. That was the McCree that like just couldn't hit him.
Right. Because Eska was playing May and had ultimate. I remember that.
Yeah, so like he's definitely
and his Genji on Volsky against Rogue, Maniton hooked him almost every single time and killed him.
Oh man!
And Maniton was insane. Like, it's sad we only got to see Rogue in one series, but Maniton played very well. But yeah, like Lunatic Kai, maybe there's a shake up in their camp and AF Blue. I wanted to see potentially Arhan and Eska. Oh, that'd be a spicy combo.
Yeah, we had that conversation too about how like they should have just taken their World Cup team and made it a real team.
Yeah,
it would have done a lot better.
It would be better. That'd be pretty sick to have that team.
Arhan's just really better than Lee Tasian, so like, and it opens up a lot more for Eska.
Arhan would. I feel like Arhan's just
Eska,
on his island right now. Yeah, he'd be so much better on a different team. It'd be great.
There's a lot of people who play with wireless mice at
IEM. What? Really?
Yeah, there's a lot of people. Even at BlizzCon.
I mean, there's latency, right?
Eska was playing wireless mouse. No,
maybe they're all cheaters.
Apparently
that's the new
Logitech G305.
Okay.
That's the new cheat. You get a phone driver with Bluetooth, and you start injecting hacks wirelessly into your mouse.
Yeah, that's another thing too. Yeah,
no,
that's a big.
I don't know if that's a thing.
No, I think some people have talked about. I mean, maybe it was just over speculating, but I have heard of things like that. All right, well, why don't we're definitely going a little bit longer than I expected. Why don't we get some questions in before we take off here?
I saw a question in chat about Tracer.
Wait, let me give a shout out to the iTunes people first. So if you guys do listen to podcasts on iTunes or on your iPhone, iPad, whatnot, the overview is available on iTunes, and you can find it by typing in Overwatch and finding us listed there. To help out with ranking or whatnot, definitely leaving a nice review, a 5-star review helps out the show and where it's ranked whenever you're searching for Overwatch. So I do want to give a shout out to Utah Jeff for leaving a great message for us and a 5-star review. And if you guys like the show, I encourage you guys to do it too. It'd be awesome. Okay, question. We're skipping Jason's question because
It's not very nice.
Oh my gosh, you don't want to hear that question. But we do have a couple on email, and if we have some time, we'll take maybe one or two from Twitch here. All right, Josh Bozek asks earlier this week, hey guys, I was thinking of a potential solution to the competitive map pick ban problem. We kind of talked about it in the last episode. And it says, I was wondering the viability of Blizzard mandating a map of the day, which forces each series to start with a Blizzard-approved map, and either having a loser choose the next map or pick ban afterwards. This may hit a balance between the need for EnVyUS to be played while still giving the pros a limited map pool to practice, with only needing to add the map of the day to their practice regimen. So, this stems from the map discussion last week, right? The big topic was that neither event was going to allow for a map draft. So on the show we were talking about having a smaller map pool, or like whether we should always have every map that's made for Overwatch in the pool, and how would teams be able to prepare, I guess, adequately for just whatever map pool that's used. So I think he's just, saying that what if there's a single map, I guess, for the event or the day that you have to play?
I think we had that at APAC. I'm trying to remember. I think we had it at APAC.
We did, but the reason why it works, it works, but it doesn't change anything.
Still the same problem, right?
The problem is the banning. The map pool has to be set. I had the conversation with people from Blizzard and even just not Blizzard about it. And even the players I had a conversation with, and I don't even think the problem so much is the fact that the map pool exists, or it was just the fact that they didn't have time for it. Getting sprung the rules the last day was the worst part more than anything. If you're told months ahead that you have to play King's Row at MLG, then if you're bad at King's Row at MLG, you have nothing to complain about because you knew that you should have gotten better at King's Row, So as far as Blizzard mandating map pools, I don't even know how big of a problem it is. I think the biggest problem is just doing it poorly timed. So I talked to Scott or whatever, and he said that he didn't know that NGE was on set map, and they asked him yo, you have to make a map rotation for tomorrow, and he was like, this is crazy. So I think the general consensus of Blizzard was more or less that that was a big issue, and it wasn't properly conveyed to the players, and the players definitely had a right to complain about that. But as far as solving the map draft, you don't need to solve it if I think people know. So, if you knew that you had to play so much EnVyUS, teams would have just started screaming the shit out of EnVyUS as opposed to having a day or two.
I don't know if I agree. Not in a bad way, but I look at Counter-Strike, where you have different game modes. Technically, you have bomb defusal, you have hostage rescue, the VIP stuff, but the game's only played on bomb defusal, and then within those bomb defusal maps, you only have 8 or 9 of them that are actually played at tournaments and at majors and stuff. Having a set map pool or set predetermined maps for each series, I kind of hate that, because I want to see maps go towards identities of teams. You look at NIP. If I were to think of or the NIP or Complexity, if I were to think of their best map, it's going to be Watchpoint Gibraltar, and I want to have these identities for these individual teams. So forcing a team who their worst map could say be King's Row, and because they had to play King's Row first, they couldn't get to the third map of the series, which is their best map, is kind of shitty for me. I don't know.
Obviously, I 100% agree with what you're saying. I don't. My problem too is that you have it's back to your mode thing. I don't know that even payload will be I don't know if I hope, but I would expect in 4 years there's some other game modes that aren't payload, or more advanced versions of payload.
Be more.
Well, so that's what I mean. It's I think that competitive will eventually shift, and I know that they want to make changes to 2CP. And maybe 2CP will be really good if they make some crazy changes, or they make a third point on each map or something sick like that. There's definitely ways to go about what you're saying though too. I mean, I would prefer it. You're right. Like I'd rather them be like, okay. I mean, my idea was like, okay, you have a best of 3. Here's 5 maps or 6 maps, right? And like one map is like your tiebreaker, so that one just doesn't get touched. Like Lijiang, Nepal. Like maybe like the entire tournament, the tiebreaker is always Lijiang, and then you say, now you have 5 maps in the best of 3. Each team just like removes 1. And then like play that way. Because I understand, I think one of Blizzard's things is like they don't want like teams just playing fucking Hollywood and Kings Row every single map.
Well, that's the thing. We have some esports that's pretty much what it. Look at League of Legends.
That's exactly what happens.
That was Gamescom.
Yeah.
That was Gamescom.
I know.
Where there was, like, 5
so
maps and
so let's look at it from that. Let's look at League of Legends, right? We've been playing Summer's Rift. I mean, Summer's Rift is that's like one map forever now, and it's just about who's most skilled on that map. And like the map really plays no difference. Where you have like Heroes of the Storm, where the maps do play a big role. You know, there's like literally different objectives on each one, and you can influence just the pushes and who wins based on the map. So I mean, it's good in both ways. And I think Jason, like you're getting a little bit closer to that like the first one where there's just not much change. And the question is really like, how do we want to measure, you know, how good an Overwatch team is? Do we want to measure it just literally based on expertise on, you know, very, very few maps and just literally mechanical expertise, or just, you know, strategic, you know, just variances on those known maps? Or do we want to see them in more of an adaptive type of environment? And for me, I don't know. Actually, I don't know the answer personally. Like, I actually like both models. And I think both have like merits too. Being able to adapt to a new map and figure out what the, you know, great comp is immediately or whatnot is a skill. It's a definite skill that I think should be, you know, rewarded too. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Which is better?
I think a Call of Duty.
Yeah, I mean, you have to look at it from both ways. But yeah, finish.
Sorry, like I think I've always looked at this like Call of Duty, where you have like Hardpoint, which is like one game mode. Then you have like Capture the Flag, which is another game mode. Then you have Uplink, which is another game mode. Like I ideally would like predetermined, if anything, game modes. Like you have to play one hybrid, you have to play one control, you have to play one CP in a series, and let them choose the maps or something like that, or give them a pool of like. So the problem is if you take maps out of a pool, like as in, oh, we're never going to play CP, or you're not going to play Hanamura or Volsky, whatever, it's too one-sided, then you're basically saying that Blizzard fucked up, right? Blizzard's admitting to the community that they fucked up, like the map's not balanced, and they have to like admit a mistake and go back and fix it. So like,
or just don't put it in the rotation. That's fine.
But that's the same thing. They're saying we have a bad map. Like they're acknowledging, or it's a good map for casual. Game.
You know what I mean? Like, all these maps don't have to be just for competitive. They, like it would open up the ability to make like different maps, right?
So Blizzard would have to decide, like, do we want payload or hybrid or control to be like the main game mode in like a thing, or do we want to give like Flame was saying, like 8 maps for this best of 3, and they get to pick bans. So like Blizzard still controls the maps that are going to be played, but then the players get to actually put or create some identity out of it, saying, no, we're a team that doesn't like this map. Or if there's like 2 bad maps for them, then the other team can force them to play a map they're not good on, so be prepared in practice. I don't know. There's a lot of different ways. I think Blizzard just need to make the decision, and I think they've been using these opportunities as a way to figure that out, because we've had different ways of determining maps throughout different events.
Yeah. I mean, I think overall, what I'd like to see once the league does start is that basically each season, I'm assuming a season's like a year long or close to a year long, just have this map pool, you know, whether it's 7 maps, 8 maps, whatever it is, just have that map pool, play that for the entire year. But then the next year, I mean, it's fair game to have like 7 completely new maps the next year. And then just have, you know, maybe the meta just recycle in a way like that, you know, because of these maps too. I mean, that'd be kind of cool to see something fresh. But if they could, you know, maybe have that type of, you know, just that type of variety, or at least influx of new maps, then that would be great. But having it just like piece by piece, like one map at a time, that's like, it's so much harder because it just keeps introducing like this discussion. We're gonna have this discussion like nonstop every time a new map comes out, and it's like, oh. But anyways, let's move on to the next question. The next one.
No. Let Flame.
Okay. Oh yeah, Flame. Sorry.
Well, I mean, I guess my thing was like, I see the game, like it has MOBA mechanics and it has like CS mechanics, but like the CS mechanics I think get lost in the MOBA mechanics. So like, I mean, I don't want to compare it to Heroes of the Storm, but if you compare it to like TF2, it's like nobody played payload, but people did play control maps in TF2. and like even King of the Hill, like they played all 3 modes, and some teams were really good at King of the Hill, and like if you got them that week or whatever, because the way ESEA worked was like you played 2 maps or 1 map a week. So if like if you were like a 3rd place team, normally 3rd place team, but you played the 1st place team on King of the Hill that week, like you might upset them because they would win like their 7 weeks of whatever, like normal 5 CP. So like for Overwatch, I don't think that it matters so much what the game modes are. Like I think teams should definitely be able to win King of the Hill and Payload, even though like Payload's obviously more dominant just in terms of count. But I would never want like a situation where teams are playing like Ilios, Lijiang, Hanamura or not like Ilios, Lijiang, Nepal as their best of 3, which has happened before actually.
God.
In like tournaments.
Ew.
So like I agree, I definitely see Blizzard's value in limiting selection in that regard, because I agree it's kind of silly if teams are just playing King of the Hill, like from a spectator point of view and like whatever. So yeah, I mean, I guess that's more or less what I'm trying to say, is that like I value Blizzard's need or drive to want to limit what the players are able to play, but I definitely don't like the idea of a team never seeing their best map. Like maybe C9 or maybe FaZe beats Fnatic if it went to Dorado instead of Gibraltar or something, you know, like
yeah.
I mean, I'm not making those. I'm not like, that's just, I think they even played both those maps. But the point being that like you don't want a team to win because of the maps. But if you have ample strategy time, like you know that like first round you're playing King's Row, whatever, or like you know that King's Row is in the pool or 1 map's out, like at least it makes your practice more valuable. I don't know. There's like definitely a bunch of ways to look at it. I don't think they're ever going to be like a perfect one that makes everyone happy. But you would hope by the time that like the league, I think everything's just like testing for the league at this point. It's like, what, did this work? Did that work? We should try this next tournament. I'm sure the next tournaments have like some crazy rule that no one really saw coming and like some monkey wrench that nobody's happy with. But maybe it's just like a test for the league. Because I mean, I don't think these problems will exist for the league.
Yeah,
that's what I thought was really interesting about CS. Like North American teams, like back when I was casting, never played Mirage ever. They hated that map. So whenever they would go into a series and have vetoes, Mirage would always be like the first map vetoed away by them because they knew they didn't practice it. And they didn't have to practice it because they knew they had the ability to veto out that map. So then they had to be good at other maps, right? Because obviously if you always veto that map, that means there's always a map that's going to be thrown at you that you have to play. I don't know. I mean, we'll see, I guess, where it goes. I'm interested to see like it tried and tested. That's why I tweeted out, I don't really care that there's predetermined maps that much, you know, for these 2 events, because it gives Blizzard a chance to test things out.
Yeah.
And people always complain, oh, they had StarCraft to test all this, but no. StarCraft was never their baby like Overwatch is. And Overwatch is such a different game for them too. And
I think another thing is you have to really know the teams to make the map drafts interesting. And
right.
So like one thing, this is like I'm gonna probably wind up going off tangent, but like you look at CS, right? You have people like what's his name, Richard Lewis, you have Thorin, you have Anders and Semler, you have all those people that just literally like NA, like CS is NA, like NEU, right? There's not like a Korean scene, there's no like, you know, like there's no Chinese scene. It's just those top teams, and that's all you have to know. Like your time zone's always set. And for map drafts, right? Like I could talk about any map drafts at MLG. Like, oh, I understand why NRG wants to play on Gibraltar, why they don't want to play on Hollywood. I understand why C9's good at Hollywood. Blah, 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 blah. But like from a talent perspective, if I can't say that, then it's really shitty, right? Because then like suddenly you're like, why did these teams ban this map? And like maybe they don't want to show the map drafts on stream because nobody can talk to it. And like I don't want to like, this isn't like calling anybody out, but like Monty and Doe are in Korea all the time. So like if they come to MLG and they're not 100% on top, like could they really do a map draft? And if I went to Korea or something,
I know what you
and
mean.
I'd never watched Korean Overwatch, like could I talk about Korean map drafts? So like it creates like this weird thing where like I think it's it'll eventually be understandable. Like, but I think that there's also another drive factor there that like the drafts are boring to some people. And I think that that's like one of the things that kind of influences that, is that there's not a lot of people that can really talk to it.
Well, I think it being boring to people is really the caster's responsibility to not make it boring to people. And to your point, not being, you know, just naturally informed about the thing is just something that casters are used to at this point. I mean, casters, they go and do research before they work an event. Monty and Doa definitely, you know, and Jason here will definitely do, you know, a good amount of research before going into it. And if you know a map draft is like a big point of the production, and
I mean,
you know, it's something that you might not
point,
be.
though, like research isn't gonna tell you like that shadow burns are really like it's gonna be like, okay, this team won this map, this team won that map, but if I can't sit there and tell you that Seagull like switching from Pharah to Genji on point 2 of Dorado, and then it's good against C9's triple hit scan, whatever. Like if you can't like the research isn't going to do that much. I don't think like in a gram, like you have to be so on top of it. But
okay, so,
I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. It's just like there's only so many people that can do that. Like Monty and Do are probably like one of the few people that are capable of like that level right now.
Well, when winter, okay, so let's just say they're doing map drafts, right? A lot of the map drafts are done at the desk. Like, I mean, it's being casted by the desk a lot of times because the analysts are there, right? So, you know, you'd be there, or you know, obviously, Monty and Do would be there. Jason could be there, and any of you guys could be there. You know, Uber could be there. I mean, you guys will. There's definitely gonna be plenty of folks that do know these little intricacies of the players.
Yeah, but currently,
I mean,
like at the same event,
there's a handful, maybe less than a handful of people probably can do it right now, but eventually that will become standard.
Oh, for sure, 100%.
Yeah.
But I was more or less saying that like right now, I don't really think that like I wouldn't have expected like some people to like. It's really hard to bounce between regions, and it's really hard to like keep up with NA. You're like who good like you would unless you were watching NGE last week, you wouldn't have expected Milo and Numlock to have switched roles. You know, you could look it up, but you wouldn't know how effective it was. You couldn't talk to why that happened. And like, there's a lot of really, I mean, Monty and Do are like, they're outliers, right? Because they're like super good at knowing everything. But as far as like bringing in new people or whoever, like
they spend time.
Really hard.
It's a standard. You know, like they watch a lot of VODs, man.
I mean, it's like natural for them. I just think like if I went to Korea, I'd be like so confused as to why Lunatic High want like. You know what I mean? Like, it depends on the timing. It depends on the prep, how much time you have to prep. Like, it's not as simple as I think as like, I mean, I'm not saying that what the CS do is simple, but I think CS is a lot more centralized, and like the way E-League is run, like everyone's been there for so long, like the teams are set in stone, everything kind of flows. I don't know.
I know what you mean.
A big problem with like the whole veto thing that we're talking about is that it's not sexy. And that's like one of the reasons why we didn't see it at Gamescom is like it's going to be boring. Like inherently, it's always going to be boring. It's something that people don't want to watch, even if you have all this great information on it. People don't want to see an analysis desk break down the maps. They want to see the game, right? So I think somehow making that segment quick but informative enough, which is what the desk is there for, would like help bypass that. It's
that's fine.
It's like a whole other can of worms for that whole section.
Yeah. I mean, I agree too. I mean, I think if you can make it like something that is entertaining or worthwhile, then, you know, it should absolutely be there. But if you can't, that's fine. It's completely fine. If the map draft happens off air and we just show, okay, these are the maps that they chose and they drafted, and that's good. Let's just start the games, right? Okay, let's go on to the next question. It's just probably gonna be the last question since we're running out of time here. But Andrew Gibbons asks, he's got a couple questions. Question 1: people seem to not like the current tank Ana meta. Which of the previous metas do you think was the best? Yeah. So out of all the metas we've seen in Overwatch, what was the most, I guess, healthy, in your opinion? Is there such thing as a healthy
double
meta?
Sense, Symmetra, double Genji and or Genji Tracer,
double Winston.
Lucio.
Remember the double Reaper, double Winston, double Zen on the cart strat? That was the thing.
Holy crap!
You would just sit on the cart, and if anyone ever came to contest, you drop 2 Winston bubbles, and then 2 Reapers just shot at you from the cart, and there was nothing you could do.
See, I liked the very first, like pretty much the very first meta we saw back in closed beta. Of like having Pharah Mercy in there.
It was like Pharah Mercy versus McCree's Sniper. Widowmaker.
Pharmacy. Okay. Yeah.
And that was before. That was like with hero stacking allowed in the game. It's just people didn't do it.
Yeah, we had consciences and respect for each other.
Yeah, exactly. It's like an honor system.
I mean, that's really what it was. It was like,
guys.
There was a point where Clockwork, like he would never, like we'd be like, Clockwork, we need a Winston. He just wouldn't do it.
It's like come on, Clockwork. 6 Winstons, baby. Come on, let's go.
I think the meta, though, I don't think the meta is boring. It's the unwillingness of teams to try to break the meta.
I don't think that's even it. I think it's a mixture of that and like the patches just being really weirdly timed. Like the past like 4 patches, I think have been like the worst fucking time. Like you saw throughout MLG that like you could beat the 4 tanks with
Right.
the Genji, but at the same time, did Fnatic really play the 4 tanks that well? Like, I don't know. And then like NRG or Envy played 1 healer, and there's obviously ways to beat that, but who the hell plays 1 healer in scrims? Like, the meta needs more time, and that might go back to the maps. Like, 1 healer is not going to work on King's Row, but it'll work on Hollywood Dorado, but maybe or Hollywood Numbani, but you don't play Numbani like against the team that you're scrimming against. Like, it's so hard to be good right now at this game.
But all that matters is that the ability to, counter meta with the current set of heroes is possible. And I mean, what I'm hearing is that you think there is. You think the current meta can be countered. It's just people haven't.
It can be broken super hard, but again, like, no, you're not going to see it. Like, I mean, it's hard to say things because they changed the ult percentage thing, and I had this conversation with Monty about like they changed it 25%, but nobody notices the 25% right now because it's 4 tanks shooting 4 tanks. So like ults are always up anyway because there's so much health to get you ult. So like it's hard to know if this patch was actually like how good this patch would be actually if you literally just removed Ana. Like if Ana wasn't in the game, what this patch would look like. It would be a completely different game. And like it's hard, like even last patch I think was really good if you took out this like damage amp or something on nano boosts. Like I think last patch was the best one because teams started like figuring out Reaper, and like the Reaper Ana is actually starting to go away.
Yeah, we did see a couple switches in the meta during that patch, like during that just whatever we went that patched until the next patch, right? And I mean that's definitely a good sign that when you're seeing the meta moving a bit from event to event too. So you actually saw people trying to counter it. Actually, a couple of them were mid event. People like the whole Reaper thing came out mid event, right? So or the Beyblade. Yeah, that was like that was during Atlantic Showdown,
Overwatch
right?
Open.
But there were no tournaments between. No, that was E-League. That was open.
Yeah, that was
so like,
that's midway through E-League. Yeah.
But during Overwatch Open, like before coming into Overwatch Open, there wasn't an oversaturation of events. I mean, like I don't want to say this, but I honestly think that if MLG was next week, it would be completely different heroes and like completely different win conditions. Like just because of the patch, like people would have had more time. I think that the time really messed up this patch, and like I don't know that the 4 tank meta is actually going to exist in 2 weeks.
Okay,
but people are looking forward to. But like at the same time, like you do what works for now, and if you win, you win. But if you're playing against teams that just play into you, and then you don't know how to beat the teams that don't play into you, then that's where it gets like weird.
It's just a matter of whether Blizzard needs to change something or not, and I don't think we're to that point where we've got enough data that they need to change.
You're a fan of regardless, right? I don't know. I honestly,
I mean, I would like to see Ana, but I can't say that it's premature to say that or not. Like, of course, my gut tells me we should.
Something I said during IEM that I feel like is very true is it's a lot easier to run the triple or quad tank setup because it's very forgiving. If you make a mistake, then it doesn't really punish you that much because you have so much HP. But all right, so teams will typically play that because they're like, all right, it's easy, it's more forgiving. So why not play this comp and just try to get really good at it? Where then you have LW Red say, all right, you can play that. We're gonna play a comp that is a lot harder to play, but gives us way better results against your comp. Like we can beat your composition as long as we don't make a mistake.
That's great.
So
that's great.
I feel like every meta there's something like that where it's like the very standard of it, and teams get complacent and are like, all right, we'll just play this because everyone's playing it, and we have a lot more information of how to play it, and we can play it easier than trying to go for something a little bit crazy. Like the whole what Misfits did DreamHack, having Zebasai and Widowmaker and having like a really aggressive composition.
Right.
If your frontline sucks dick or Zebasai misses shots, all right, you're not going to win, which we saw that happen on Gibraltar. But then when you start hitting your shots and when you start playing the comp the way it's supposed to be played without making those mistakes, then you snowball against whatever the team's doing, like in terms of the standard meta. So I think there's a lot of unwillingness out of teams to try to play something a little bit harder that can actually beat the current meta or can catch teams off guard.
Well, I think the worst meta in any game is when an easily played, and we're talking relative again. We're not. I mean, obviously, we're talking the highest level of Overwatch players, but when an easy meta to execute is the top meta, I think that's the worst state that a meta can be, because you want the skill cap to be super high on certain metas, because you want the superstars to shine. Like you want those teams that have those players that are just, you know, either a level above or maybe even just barely above like everybody else in the pro scene to really stand out. And if you actually have a very forgiving type of meta like you're talking about, Jason, that's a great point. You know, that's one of the reasons why this meta isn't so great. It's hard to actually, you know, say that, oh, Shadowburn, you know, just like making incredible plays, or, you know, Taimu or whoever it is, right? And that's actually what makes an esport great is when those people can stand out, and then all of a sudden you have esport, you have like these celebrities, you know, these player celebrities, and they're focal points of talks, focal points of teams, and who they should focus on and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, that's where I think we should want to get to, you know, in terms of the meta. And right now, it's not there. It's the complete opposite. But that's not because of the game. Like, I still think the game is capable of doing it. It can get there faster if Ana got nerfed, I bet. But do they have to do that? Do they always have to? Blizzard should Blizzard always have to do that instead of just the teams just changing their mentality of trying to push the limit? Like, we don't have enough teams just pushing. Like take pride in trying to break the meta, guys.
You shouldn't have to be the best Genji in the world to beat a like mediocre tank comp. Like,
right? Okay,
that shouldn't be a thing. And like to that point, EnVyUS's comp where they run like the single healer is actually not that difficult to run. Like on Gibraltar, on Numbani, you literally just like hide your Ana in the back, and like all your teammates are just like full health all the time because you only use your nuke for heals and you only use your nuke for whatever. But like, the concept of Ana removing Genji from the game, arguably, like even Shadowburn was getting shit on by Kusta, and like that's 100% testament to Kusta.
Yeah.
But like the fact that a sleep dart, I don't know, like the concept of like, oh, I can't run Tracer because I have an Ana. Genji is a lot harder when they have Ana. Like all this stuff, like Ana just, I think, makes the 4 tanks possible. Ana makes the flankers feel really, really bad. Like the heroes puts out enough DPS to like win 1v1s with Soldier 76 and like McCree.
Sure.
Like it's like way too much, I think. I mean,
yeah,
I agree.
Well, like I said, it would accelerate it. It would accelerate it by a lot if we changed Ana. It's just I mean,
there's no competition that's going to run over 4 tanks, so that's never going to happen.
Yeah, true. All right, last question from him is, what are your impressions of the new map Oasis? Is there anything about it that might promote unique strategies?
It's very small.
I still haven't played it that much.
I mean, it just feels like
you haven't seen the map, Jason.
I didn't see it 2 weeks ago. What do you think is going to change from then to now?
God.
I don't have internet, man. I'm at an event.
This is like the next map that's going to come into the pool, man. So
it's very crammed, and there's a lot of useless geometry is a thing, and that happens in a few of the maps. Like Volskaya, there's like a lot of just random terrain that will never get fought on, and I find that a little weird. It feels like a Quake map, though. It doesn't feel like an Overwatch map.
Some of the stages. Isn't
there jump pads in it?
The jump pads is whatever. It's just that's like a climbing gimmick for 1 point.
So, well, that goes to my question though: is do you think these new like gimmicks or things being added into the map can actually help change maybe the meta and or like change comps that are being played on those maps?
Well, so like the high ground on that map, like what you gain from the jump pad is actually pretty minimal. It's just like positioning. Like you wind up like in the map at that point, but you get like an aerial mechanic. It's like it doesn't feel like it's not like
though. Their sightlines aren't the greatest from up there. That's the
it's not like that good. But the point being, like, I'd rather that jump pad exist on Hollywood. You know, like that would change.
Yeah, that would be
fashion up there instantly.
That would be fun.
Or like some shit like that. But
hell, just take away the elevators, man. Just put jump pads like
staircases.
But the geometry on those maps, I think, is like really. I don't know what the word is. I don't want to say basic. It just feels bad. Like
it's a basic bitch.
It feels like like the center of Lijiang Light Market. There's like that night market stage where is it like night market with the bridges?
Oh no! You're talking about the garden. You're talking about garden.
Yeah, garden. Like there's a point that feels like garden, and that's one with the jump pads where like you just wind up fighting in like around a cylinder, and like that feels like really bad. And then
there's one where there's one where the point's covered by like a second level, like half of it's kind of covered by a second level.
Yeah, there's like a high ground, but it's like really crammed.
That one's definitely a little bit weird. I'm not sure how
that one feels really crammed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one feels really cramped. And then, yeah, that one I hate that one actually. And then there's the other one with the points like off to the side.
It's very much Ilios,
And, like-
you know, that's kind of like Light Tower, the windmill map.
Yeah, but like you need the high ground on that map. Like controlling that house with the health pack is like actually really beneficial. Like the one that's not the point on Ilios.
Yeah.
Like having control of that little room or whatever is like really big, but on the Ilios maps, it feels like kind of just there.
The Oasis one, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah, Oasis. It just feels like.
I mean, we
you
haven't
would
played it enough.
Never want to be there.
Yeah, but yeah, there's one with the house in the middle, and it has got little fencing around it. So it's, yeah, that one I think that's the one you said felt a little bit more like gardens probably, and I don't think there's anything necessarily new introduced. That's the biggest thing with Oasis. You know, it's very similar to a lot of the other King of the Hill maps that we've played, just a little mixture of all of them, and yeah, so it's nice, it's pretty. I just don't know if it's going to introduce anything new, like new types of gameplay, new types of strategy, and you know, that's too bad because I was expecting like a completely new game type from this. You know, when they originally were talking about a new map. So, I mean, I wasn't expecting from Oasis after I saw it, but I was hoping for it before the BlizzCon announcement. But you know, we'll see. I mean, again, it's just our impressions, and we're playing it on the PTR, so obviously it's not like out in the wild,
the real world.
Yeah, out in the wild and seeing what everybody does with it. But it's probably going to take a while before people will pick it in events. That's just how it goes, right? I mean, look how long it took. Well, Ilias, just everybody still does. It did take a while for the King of the Hill maps to get picked, and it should be the same for Oasis.
There's like a point on Oasis where like you fall in a pit in the middle, which just brings you to like this lower level, and the lower level, like there's actually no reason to ever be down there other than the fact that you didn't die to the pit.
Yeah, there's cars too, Jay. You know about the cars, right, Jason? There's this highway that goes on. Yeah, I mean, you can actually avoid it, but it's kind of supposed to be like you dropping off the map in a way, but. Yeah, there's one health pack that's right next to your spawn where you have to like pass it and then come around and go across the bridge to get in that health pack. It's I never really understood that one. I'm like, there's something I'm missing about this one. Like, is there something fighting going on like right here?
Yeah,
like
the same thing happens on Li Zhang. There's like random health packs in the spawn areas.
Oh,
so like
I guess that's true.
It's like you can like go tracer and just keep farming those health packs and stuff, and it just feels really.
I mean, you could try to camp spawn. You know, I could see like a team just camping in front of that health pack, so like they're the only ones that can access it and just like spamming into the spawn point. Maybe something like that. But I always thought that was weird. Every time I run by it, I look at it like that's interesting because I can't access it without going past it and then coming back. It's so weird. Anyways, thanks Andy for sending in that question. Yeah, why don't we wrap up, guys? We're almost 2 hours here. But definitely great. This is supposed to be a shorter show. We always do this.
We're having a short show today, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
we didn't actually have that much on the agenda, but these topics and just the events where there's so much to talk about. But Flame, yeah, glad. Man, your Christmas tree is looking awesome at night, dude. You got presents under it? No presents. What the hell? Okay, all right.
I see him talking, but I don't hear him.
Yeah, I don't hear him either. Oh, I think you're push to talk, man. Push to talk. Or you're muted. I think he's muted. I believe he's muted.
All right.
Anyways. Let's just see.
Okay, I'll give a shout out.
Yeah, why don't you go start? Why don't you start the shout outs, Jason? Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah.
I'll just go really slow. So my first shout out, of course, parents. They're like in the room behind me. Let me do it while I'm here. But for supporting me, blah, 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 all that good stuff I say every week. Chairman for the show for always bringing me on. Yep. To ESL for letting me have the opportunity to do Overwatch. To Blizzard for not hating my casting, I think, so far. And hopefully to a great 2017.
Yeah.
I'm not hating it, but I don't know if they're liking it. There's a difference.
Wow. Okay. Flame you back?
I don't know.
I think
you do good.
There we go.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Discord like unbound me or something, but I said I have better than presents. I have a dog under my tree.
That's true. He's not new though, right? You've had him for a while now.
Why would I need presents when I have a dog? What else do you need?
Okay, all right.
She leaves him presents sometimes on the
I know,
phone.
my parents. I mean, yeah, I have to clean them up some mornings, but like my parents like came. My mom, so like I can't leave my dog at my parents' house because my sister's dog like actively tries to kill her. So my mom like comes over here and stays, or she came here and like stayed like a couple nights while I was at BlizzCon and like brought her back and forth between her house because again like she doesn't like not being there if she's there. So she was like making fun of me. She's like, "Why do you have your Christmas tree in your computer room?" I was like, "Mom, like, where else do I put it? Like, this is where I chill. Like, it's on stream. Like." They're making fun of me.
Awesome.
Yeah,
cool.
Back to the point of like I don't need presents because I'm just here alone.
Gotcha. You want to do any shout outs, man? Where can people find you?
Shout outs to Blizzard for letting me do MLG. That was cool. Shout out to MLG for asking to have me in the first place. That was even cooler. And then I guess shout out to there was so much good feedback actually that I got. Like
you did great,
Reddit's
man.
like making me feel really good about myself right now, so that's really cool. And like my streamers my viewers that are like super supportive. Like I'll tweet out like, "Oh, I'm nervous," and they're like, "You got this shit. This is your event. Like bring it home." Blah blah blah. Like it's actually so nice. So
Support's
shout out to them.
Support's the best.
Yeah, man.
No, but you deserve it, man. You did, again, like you did a great job, and it's just like waiting for you to talk, and then when you started talking, I'm like, oh yeah, he's he's definitely ready to go, and just doing what you normally do. So that's
like I mean, it's just like, and another shout, just like everyone that was there, that was like so like helpful. Like I had so many questions, I was like so afraid of some things, and like everyone was just like, yeah, like just be yourself, live your life. I mean, I don't want to tell a story, but there's a story I'll tell on the stream. No, they were just like, because like I was super afraid to like be too angry.
Oh yeah.
And then so like I had this conversation with Monty, and he's like, "Nah, dude, you just gotta say what you want to say." He's like, nobody wants a wishy-washy like analyst. Like he's like, people hate me for stuff that I say, and he's like, that's exactly what you want. Like you want people to be discussing you. You want people to think that like you're edgy or angry or whatever. Yeah. So. So like the NRG match ends, and then I'm on the desk with him, and he was like, he said something like, "That was the worst showing by a team I've ever seen." Like just ripping into them, and he just opened up the floodgates for me to say whatever. Like, but Monty and Doa were like super awesome, and like I met Susie from Korea.
Yep,
and she was like the greatest person. She was like the nicest person I've probably ever met in my entire life. Like we found out we went to the same college.
Oh wow!
And like so did Rachel. Like Rachel went to the same college, and suddenly like we're all just sitting there, like holy shit, we're all from the same state. What is going on?
New Yorkers.
Jersey, actually.
Oh, Jersey. Sorry, Jersey. Oh god, Rachel's gonna kick my ass for that.
But yeah, like X and Puckett were awesome. Golden Boy was awesome. Like Huck and Stir were hilarious. Like ZP is actually so excited about Overwatch. Like I loved all of them. Like all of their personalities together was so like empowering, I guess. It was good.
That's awesome. That's definitely great.
Yeah.
But anyways, guys, I'll wrap it up. Thanks to both of you guys for doing the show and everybody for watching. We're going to have one more show before the end of the year. So we'll probably do like our awards, I guess the Overview awards and what we think was the best event and all that good stuff. So definitely tune in next week. Try to do it on the same time, but we might have to move a little bit based on just Christmas and family things. So just stay tuned. Definitely follow the Twitter for the Overview. It's the Overview GG. And I'll be tweeting from there. I'll be tweeting from my Twitter too, so you can follow me at ChanManV also. VODs will be up youtube.com/ChanManV, just like always, a little bit later on tonight, and you can find it on iTunes by late tonight or early tomorrow. So if on the way to work or whatnot, you can listen to it. But that's going to be it for this week. So for Flame, Jason Kaplan, and myself, ChanManV, we'll see you next week. Later.